Okay, welcome to service quality class. I don't know why not everyone is here, so let's start the class. Um, we have covered all these. Covered these. Covered these. Okay, you're here. Okay, so following the previous sessions, concepts and lessons, we are going to talk about complaint management model. So first of all, complaint is when a customer is not happy and they express their dissatisfaction. So basically, complaints are expressions of dissatisfactions of customers. But uh, complaints could be treated differently. When a customer complains to you, you could just take it as a negative, expression, and you don't like it, and you become upset if you look at it that way. Or you can look at it as a feedback from a customer, and that's actually a gold mine. It's telling you what you're doing wrong and what you have done that has not uh, pleased the customer. So that will absolutely give you some idea what you should do differently to make the customer happy. So complaints are really important, and to a lot of companies, complaints are really important. And when they receive complaints, they try to take action. So that's when they come up with complaint management model. So you have to manage the complaints. It's actually could be a certain division in service quality department that when they receive complaints, they take certain actions, they follow certain procedures to make sure they understand why the complaint has been made and how it can be redeemed, how the customer can uh, can become satisfied from a negative, unhappy, unsatisfied customer to a happy, satisfied customer. There's actually a process. So uh, for this case, which is actually educational case, we have the management at the top, which is committed to an effective complaints handling system. So the commitment should come from the basically from the management level. So if the management is not ready to actually commit themselves to the complaints of the customers, it seems unreal and unrealistic to to be able to to implement a complaint management system. So it's actually very important that the management be involved and they are committed to a complaint management system. So their involvement is rule number one. Then the next is the staff. The staff should be authorized and properly trained to deal with complaints. Okay, so let's say when there is a complaint and the staff is actually not trained at all, and it's not, uh, you know, able to respond. First of all, can you clarify that everybody can hear me loud and clear? Can everybody clear me loud and clear? Can you just confirm if you can hear me? Oh, okay. Is it better now? Is the voice better? Okay, thanks. So the staff actually should be authorized, should be able to respond to complaints also. So if you're a staff in a company and you receive a complaint and you're not able to respond, well, what it doesn't make any sense. I mean, when the customer is mad and they make a complaint, they want immediate response. And if you are not authorized to give them any response and you're just receiving it, it's not going to help. The customer is going to be really annoyed, and if the customer was mad, now it's just disappointed, and it's probably the last visit to your company. So, so they have to be authorized, and I mean the staff to be able to respond when they receive a complaint. And also, it takes a lot of training because a mad customer who's not happy and making a complaint is already mad. So if you're dealing with a customer in the wrong way, uh, you're in trouble and the company is in trouble. So you better know how to deal with such scenarios. So it takes training. So complaints that are recorded and analyzed. So the complaints should be recorded and analyzed, and then the public customers empowered to complain and inform rights and outcomes. So on the other hand, you should enable the customers to make complaints. A lot of times when companies want to, refrain and evade the complaints, they create, the system in a way that making a complaint is actually impossible. When you want to talk to the customer representative, it's actually unavailable. You have to just leave emails or messages, and they are never attended. So they try to reduce their contact with you as much as possible. So that's not going to help. If you want to have a complaint management model, you need to have an accessible, available, customer service that customers can actually make complaints, and they basically can give you feedback and tell you about the outcomes of the service or the product they receive. And then if that all is available, which means the management involvement, the staff is well trained and ready to take the complaint, and the public are able to, complain, then the complaints that are recorded and analyzed. So what happens is you have better customer relationships. Of course, when you listen to people's complaint and you try to take actions, you will end up having a better relationship with your customers. That's actually, it goes without saying. Then organizational improvement. All those complaints are those parts that you made a mistake, or you did something that you were not supposed to do, or you did something not fully or not enough that the customer feels satisfied. So knowing them is the first step to rectify them, to correct those mistakes. So when you correct those mistakes, your organization actually improves and you have a better performance, better quality, so everything is going to get better. And then better corporate governance. Corporate governance deals with your ethics, with the way you govern your company, with your management and the staff relationships. So your complaints could be about anything, and actually it helps you govern your company better. So your corporate governance, your ethics, everything is going to get better. So as you can see in this model, everything goes hand in hand, but what is really important is being responsive and welcoming to complaints of customers. That's the rule number one. That's the golden rule, that you want to make sure that you're available and you're ready to take customers' complaints. So if you're able to do that, basically the rest is going to be very easy. Because a lot of times I see corporations that they have the complaints management model, but the management is not involved. Because when it comes to better customer service and when it comes to dealing with complaints, a lot of decision making is required. Let's say the customer is returning an item. If you don't have the authority to take back the item which the customer is not happy with, how could you respond to the complaints of the customer? The customer is not able to return the item. The customer would be pretty annoyed, and basically you lost that customer. So decision making, which deals a lot with the management. That's why the management involvement is really important because the managers are those who make the decisions or are assigning authorities to staff. So they have to be really on top of it, and they have to be able to, give authority to the staff so that they can take the right action that is required. So that is really important. Then the staff, the training of the staff is really important also. The staff should be responsive of the complaints. Because a lot of times I've experienced in a lot of companies that the staff, when they receive complaints, they try to fight back with the customer. The customer is telling you something that is not satisfactory, and you try to defend. I mean, defending is the last thing you want to do. You want to first acknowledge the problem that the customer has experienced. If the customer has experienced a problem, you don't want to fight back and argue with the customer. You want to first acknowledge and be apologetic, and then second, you want to try to find a solution. So those staff that who try to fight back or argue, it's actually out of the question. The customer is going to get really annoyed and unhappy. And then also the complaints. So a lot of companies, they claim that they have a very good complaint management model, but they don't let people complain. When you complain, they try to shut you down, they try to disconnect you, or to try to finish the conversation, and they don't take your complaint seriously. So that is also another problem. So that's how it works, and it's interrelated. When you jot down the complaints in a way that it's understandable, then you will absolutely be able to work the system. Okay. So in a sense, as you can see here, only 5% of dissatisfied customers complain to the organization. The tip of iceberg, the remainder complain to 8 to 10 of their friends. Okay. So that is really important. You see how important it is, and it can be. Only 5%, those people who are complaining are only 5% out of the 100. They are not just all the unhappy customers. They are just those who are expressive, outspoken. They are telling you what's going on, and probably the problem they're experiencing has been experienced by other customers. The only thing is those others didn't bother to complain. The one who is complaining is actually, there's a good chance, if you're able to surmount the challenge and you're able to fix the problem, they become your loyal customer. They understand that you care for them, and they actually have some liking in your company or your product or your service. And the reason they're complaining is because they're interested. Otherwise, they would just say, okay, forget it. This is the last time I bought something from these guys, or I got some service from these guys, so just forget about it. So you'll see how important it is. Those 5% that are complaining, those customers, those mad customers that are complaining are not necessarily your bad customers. They could be your good customers. They could be those customers that after this, they're going to be your loyal customers. But if you don't deal with them correctly, those are the guys who are outspoken, don't forget. And then they are going to talk really bad about you. Nowadays, we have a lot of word of mouth going on. We have Facebook, we have weblogs, we have websites. They can just put a negative effect on all your advertisement. You're spending thousands of dollars on your advertisement, and then there are customers out there, they are just bad-mouthing you and their friends and their friends of friends. So it multiplies exponentially before you know it. Everybody doesn't like you. You're spending like thousands of dollars on your advertisement, and you're wondering what's going on. I'm really spending on marketing, but I'm not getting anything. But you need to understand your unhappy customers, especially those who make complaints, are ready to talk about you. So you either deal with them right now or you will deal with them later. It's just too late. So that is a very important fact. Dissatisfied people tell twice as many people as satisfied ones. This is also research shows those who are not happy, they try to express it twice as much as those who are happy. If you like a product, you probably tell your friend. But if you don't like, you tell everyone. You say, hey guys, don't buy this product. Don't let them help you with this service because those guys are really bad. And you try to tell everyone, all your friends and family for sure, because you don't want them to experience the same problem. So you got to really be careful. Those guys who are complaining are really serious. So just try to take care of that right away. You don't want to postpone and let out an angry customer out in the market so that they just talk about it. Most people have no idea who to complain to in an organization. This is really bad also. A lot of people, a lot of folks around, they don't know who to complain to. So when, let's say your website or your company, you don't have a clear-cut place so that customers can complain, they get confused. Let's say, I'm ready to complain, I want to give you my feedback, and for you to fix it. I come to your website, there's nowhere I can contact you. So I come to your company like in person, there is nobody to attend me. That even annoys me more. And if I was mad, I'm really mad now because there is no one to attend me. So it's even worse. So that's rule number 2. Make sure you have someone ready, or some certain part of your website is devised for the contact of the companies. Not necessarily you want to put it out there as complaint section, but feedback. Use positive words. But customers will do complaints over there too. But make sure you're available. Make sure you respond immediately. Make sure when you receive a complaint, you're ready. You're right there for a customer to really help them solve the problem. Don't make them think you're just there for their money. You make them think that you are there to help them with their issues. I mean, money is involved for sure, but it is not the main goal. The main goal is to help the customer. So make sure you make that clear. So these are the negative side. The good side, the speedy responses to complaints can significantly increase customer loyalty. As I was just telling you, that customer who's making a complaint could be your next loyal customer for several years. They just come to you, and their family and their friends, they all would be referred to you because what you did go all above and beyond when they were experiencing the problem. They know that you're there for them. They know that there was a problem. Yes, you made a mistake, but you did all you could to fix the problem. So they know that you're different from all those other service providers, that when the product is sold or the service is rendered, they don't care for after complex service that they receive, but you do. And that's why that makes that customer loyal to you. So keep that in mind. Customers who complain and are satisfied by the complaint handling process are more loyal than those who had no problem initially. As I mentioned, there's only 5% of those customers who are making those complaints. So don't interpret that when you're not receiving any negative feedback or any feedback, it means that everybody's happy. So no feedback, no negative feedback is not a good sign. It's actually a bad sign, and it shows that the customers are getting what you're giving them, and that's it. They don't like it, and they won't show up again. So make sure you get some feedback, and whatever feedback you get from customers, make sure you respond immediately. And, that is really important. So then again, research shows that if there are customers with no problem and those customers with problem, with complaints, which were taken care of, the second group are more loyal. There is actually a common sense to it. When you complain, you feel like you have a right. You're part of that group. You feel a sense of belonging. You say, okay, I have the right to tell them you did this wrong because you want them to fix it. So it really makes sense that those who are making a complaint, they are more interested. So that is really important to consider. Then resolving complaints on first contact can cut handling costs in half. Okay, that's also important, very, very important. A lot of companies, like management level or whatever level, when they receive a complaint, they try to delay it as much as possible. You receive the complaint, you receive the voicemail, you receive the email, you receive the letter, and you respond like in a couple of weeks. It doesn't make any sense, and it's going to cost you more, because then if there was a damage done, if you had fixed it immediately, probably the damage was contained much faster with less cost. But if you get back to them in 2 weeks, the damage might be double as much as it was a week before. So you're actually incurring costs. You're actually causing your company to pay more money to make the customer happy. And because it's too late already, the customer wouldn't be happy anyway, but you have to give, reimburse for the damages. So now you see the immediate feedback. It will help you actually cut costs. So not only the customer will be happier, not only the chance the customer, which is unhappy making complaint, become your loyal customer, but also you're, in a sense, saving money for your company. What if that product that you gave is just the whole product line has a problem, and that customer is reflecting that, and you have to make a recall? So a lot of times it happens that like Toyota or Apple or all those big companies, big names, they recall their products because they have complaints. They realize the whole product line was troublesome, and they recall and they try to fix the problem. Otherwise, major lawsuits are coming along the way. Otherwise, major problems are coming along the way. So don't look at that complaint very simply. It could be the reflection of your performance. It could be the reflection of your whole product that you have to reconsider. You have to just change the whole thing. So take that seriously, please. And then a strong link exists between good complaint management process and business improvement. Okay, so we are getting somewhere. We talked about this, that if you're not improving, you're actually not succeeding. You're actually losing business. You have to be on a continuous improvement. So one of the very important ways that you could improve your business is through a very good complaint management system. So when you make an unhappy customer happy, that customer is going to talk about you. It's going to bring in his or her friends and family. So you're earning business actually. It's a definite thing. We can count on it. Okay. So that is really important. So as I said, the definition of complaint is the expression of dissatisfaction made to an organization relating to its products or complaint handling process itself, where response or resolution explicitly or implicitly expected. So this is from ISO, where expression of dissatisfaction made to an organization regarding a product or service or handling the process itself, and you're looking for a response or resolution, either explicitly or implicitly. So, as you can see here, first of all, you need to receive the complaint. You need to be able to receive it. So you receive the dissatisfaction, and you realize that what exactly it is about. If it is about a certain product, certain process, certain way that the customer service rep has dealt with the customer, and then you look into the response, the resolution expected. Do they want something explicit or implicit? You always have to acknowledge the fact of the receipt of the complaint. That's very important. The moment you receive it, if it's via mail or email, you gotta respond back. We received your complaint. We received your feedback, and you could always use positive terms instead of saying that you received your complaint. You can say we received your feedback. We received your helpful feedback. Thank you. Thank customers for that. Even though they're mad, even though they're just unhappy and telling you your product is awful, thank them for that. And that really changes the whole tone of conversation. Don't follow the same tone. Don't get irritated. Don't get argumentative with the customer and try to fight back. Try to calm down the scenario and try to be apologetic and thankful for them giving you feedback and contacting you. So that's rule number one. Then find out what process needs to be changed, what process needs to be worked on. A lot of times there are certain processes that are not fully developed. There are a lot of problems with them, and when the customer gives you the complaint, you actually have a chance to see through a different perspective, to see with the bird's eye view that, okay, this product that we just launched has these problems. So that's your second step, getting to find a solution, resolution, and then also acknowledging and informing the customer who made the complaint. You made this complaint. This is the solution we have. We reimburse you or whatever we want to do, and we fix the problem. Now you don't have it anymore. So as you can see, there are a bunch of points here. First, it provides you with free feedback on service delivery. Okay, you're delivering the service. Just giving out the service doesn't mean you're done. If you remember from business strategy, the final sales part in the value chain is there. You need to basically render the service. Service is part of your product now. You can't just say, okay, I give you the product and no service. Service is what the customer expects you to do if something goes wrong. And that is mostly what you promise to the customer at the time of purchase. You say this long warranty or guarantee, or you can always call us at the customer service. We're gonna help you out. You gotta practice what you promise. So it identifies areas needing improvement. That is also very important. For you to realize what areas needing improvement, you have to hire some service quality expert. You have to do research. You have to spend a lot of money. This is a free feedback coming into your hand and telling you, okay, this part of your company needs to make some improvement. Isn't that sweet? It's awesome. It's a free cookies for you. It presents an early chance to put things right. As I said, like when it comes to Toyota, they had a problem in 2009 with their accelerators. They recalled their cars, and a lot of cars, like Corolla was recalled and some other cars, and they were asking customers to come back because their brake system and accelerator were not matched, so they fixed that. How do you think they realized it? I mean, they probably have a very good service quality department, and of course the research is going on and on, but they had accidents and complaints, so they just immediately responded back, and it was a major problem. So as you can see, you have a chance to put things right. Let's just run a different scenario. They would receive the complaint, they would realize there's a problem, they would just ignore it, and what would happen was their image would be also infected, The image would be influenced. The customers would say, this company is really unreliable. The lives of people are at hand, and these guys are just taking it for granted, like you are the customers and we pay for your products. It could really be a catastrophe for them if they would just ignore those problems. If they would just take it for granted, okay, that was our other version. In the next version, we'll fix it. But what about those who have those cars and they're going to drive them for several years? That could cause really major accidents, and that's unfixable. That's unfixable. So they strengthen the public support for the organization. Also, as I mentioned, the PR, the word of mouth, the satisfaction of customers goes a long way. A satisfied customer, a loyal customer, can do you a lot of good. He or she can take you places. They can talk about you. They can promote you for free. They can advertise you. You never know. Your customer might be a manager to an advertisement company. You never know. Your customer could be the head of the department of another tentative customer, and they will buy tons of your products. So you could be set, but just one word of mouth. Don't take it for granted and take it seriously, and try to do accordingly. So then we have, what is the complaint management system? The CMS is actually is inclusive of all these aspects. First of all, you receive the complaints, then you record them, then you respond, then you process, then you respond, and then you report it. So as you can see, these five major steps are really important. First, as I mentioned, you have to have a point of contact that the customer can contact you and tell you, hey, I have this problem. Hey, this part of your product, this brake in your car, or this engine, or if it's like iron, like the temperature, measure is not working, or steaming is not working. If it's your TV, like it doesn't change channels properly, so you receive the complaint, and you're accessible for the customer to jot down the problem, and you record it exactly. You want to tell because you want to respond back. You just want to take something, and then later on you don't know who was the customer, what was the phone number or the contact of the customer, and basically you have no idea what the complaint was. You just listen and said yes, sure, and that's it, and you have no clue how you want to get back to the customer. And the customer is gone already, and you have no idea. So you record exactly and try to categorize, because if it's for what department, what employee was involved, what date was it, when was it, how many products you purchased, okay? So all these you record exactly with detail, and then there are a bunch of people who are working on the processing, okay? They'll look at the recording and exactly read through and try to make sure they understand the complaint. They know it's received by whom, it's been recorded, what exactly went on. They just go back and then they put it into a really digestible scenario. They try to find out a resolution and a response. So respond is actually trying to fix the problem. Okay, your iron is problematic, bring it back and we'll give you a new one. So just immediate response. And then we report it. You report it, first of all, you report it in your CMS report, and also you report it back to the customer, say, we apologize for this inconvenience, whatever, and then, that's what we did. Give them an explanation of what happened and what you did in response. That could make the customer who was unhappy a loyal customer. They realize, because mistakes happen, it's how we deal with the mistakes that matters. It's not the mere mistake. The mistakes in itself is just something that happens and it's normal, and the customers will understand it. But your mannerism, your behavior, and the way you deal with the mistake is what makes the difference. Okay, so then we have the principles of a good CMS, customer complaint management system. So we have visibility and access. Okay, as I said, you should be visible, accessible on your website, on your departments. When customers come in person, you have to be visible. Okay, where's the complaint first? Where's the customer service? Okay, and then you have to be responsive. You have to respond. You have to respond in a speedy, immediate way, spontaneous. And then assessment and action. You assess what is the complaint about, and then try to take action. So it comes like in exactly the same order. First, you're visible. Customers come to you, make a complaint. You're responsive. You acknowledge the fact that you received the complaint. Then you try to analyze what went wrong, why this problem happened, and then you try to take action. You try to do something immediately. You give feedback to customers, and you monitor effectiveness. So right after that, you have to keep on monitoring so that this problem won't happen again. You have to monitor if it's effectively taken care of or not, so that you won't have any other customers complaining the same issue. So one thing that you could absolutely know is when you're receiving a complaint for a product, you try to fix it, you fix it, and you receive several similar complaints for that product. That means there is something wrong with your monitoring of effectiveness. You fix the problems, just those certain problems. You have to fix it for the whole product line, so that this problem won't happen again. That's the whole idea of complaint management system. Fixing the problem once and for all. That's what we want to do. Okay, so just pause here. Any questions, any comments so far? Is everything clear? If you have any questions for me. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me? Can everybody hear me, please? Okay, that's good. So, do you guys have any questions? Any comments or questions so far? Anything you need more clarification, more explanation, or you want to share your own comments or experiences? Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Okay, so now we get to a part called Six Sigma. You probably have heard Six Sigma and the term Six Sigma has been used for the past decade very often. It's been really a source of a lot of improvement in service quality and product quality and improvement and total quality management. So a lot of major companies, successful companies, have been utilizing Six Sigma in great detail, and it has benefited in many ways. Like one of them is General Electric. Jack Welch is the one of the pioneers of using Six Sigma, especially in the United States. And basically, it's all about quality improvement. It's as we talked about in like previous session, Six Sigma comes from the Japanese Kaizen, which is change is good, and the total quality management techniques. So Six Sigma is a disciplined, data-driven approach. So it's all about data. You input data and then do the, of course, that has some methodology. And it's divisive of DMAIC and DMADV for eliminating defects. So what I like in what I want to just pinpoint here is that Six Sigma by itself is just a technique, but when it is applied to complaint management system, then it makes sense. So, first of all, let me tell you what we mean by DMADV. Just certain acronyms. So, D stands for define, M stands for measure, A stands for analysis, D stands for design, and then V stands for verify. Okay. So there are a lot of research being done that they are outlined and categorized like this. So for every Six Sigma process, you have all these methods, all these steps. First of all, you define a problem. You say, okay, we have this problem. Then you measure it. You measure exactly what's going on and the numbers and the details as it is. And you start to analyze it, how it works, how it goes wrong, how it goes right, all these. And then you design a new version, something better, and then you verify. You double check and make sure it or validate, verify or validate, both of them. So in this way, you're actually eliminating defects. Six Sigma is using this for all the processes, and they eliminate defect right after that. Anything outside the customer specification in any process from manufacturing to transactional and from product to service. So basically, Six Sigma is a methodological way of improvement or bettering a service quality. So if you want to do a good job on service quality, you will always try to basically utilize all these steps. And then the Lean Six Sigma is the practice of the theory of production that considers the expenditure of resources of any means other than the creation of value for the presumed customer to be wasteful and thus target for elimination. So Lean Six Sigma is actually more of a practical version of Six Sigma. So in Lean Sigma, you are eliminating waste. So you're focusing on waste in Lean Six Sigma. And so of course it has a certain formula and number for it, which is like certain rate of defects per million you want to have. So defect per million opportunities, which is 3.4 defects per million, is actually your Lean Six Sigma. So I would say it's fair to say that Lean Six Sigma is a condensed version of Six Sigma where you focus on defects and waste, and you try to target elimination of wasteful actions. For Six Sigma, of course, you're dealing with waste. You're defining, measuring, analyzing, and then designing and verifying. But when it comes to Lean Six Sigma, you're definitely focused on waste. You want to reduce waste to the least amount possible, which is 3.4 per million opportunities. Okay. So there are some weaknesses for Lean Six Sigma. Lean can not bring a process under statistical control. I mean, the statistics is really awesome. It gives you a very good perspective, but it does not necessarily give you control all the time. You know, it just gives you the waste and the process, so you have to reduce the process, change the process, or remove the process. But don't think that the Lean Six Sigma is gonna be your control, your control tool for everything. Especially when it comes to services, you don't necessarily have control. It gives you a clear picture. It tells you what is the waste, but not necessarily you always have the control. Six Sigma alone cannot dramatically improve process speed and reduce invested capital. So as I mentioned, it just tells you what is waste. Like it tells you the waste process during the steps that you're taking. Let's say you're producing cars. So your cars, you produce the wheel, the steering, everything, the frame. So by Lean Six Sigma, you can come up with the measurements, statistical measurements, telling you exactly where you're wasting time, money, material, resources, everything. But just knowing that and getting to know that doesn't mean the problem is fixed. It's just the first step for you to take the next step, which is, of course, removing that wasteful process and then using an alternative process which is not wasteful or is less wasteful and gives you a better quality or better, process. So it's really important for you to know that Six Sigma or Lean Six Sigma cannot necessarily solve your problem by itself. It gives you a clear picture of where you are and how you can improve is the next step. Emergence of Lean Six Sigma. The amalgamation of two principles gave rise to Six Sigma. Not just quality and not just speed. Balance between quality and speed. That is really a very, very simple but important point that a lot of companies are missing. A lot of companies can just name it, even like food industry. You see, when you go to fast food, when you go to McDonald's, it's just about the speed. The quality is not a concern necessarily. When you go to a fine dining restaurant, it's probably more of a quality. But then you will see they're not as speedy enough. So the balance between quality and speed is actually the key. So as I said, this is a very Japanese, Asian cultural aspect, which is absolutely awesome, and it has been utilized in Western industry and society, and it has been really tremendously helpful, because you see that the balance in life is really important. Western life is more of like very speedy processes. They want it fast as possible, and then quality is another concern, of course. But the Japanese culture, the Kaizen, is really much into the balance. Something balanced enough, something that is not speedy or it's not with low quality. I mean, something in between, not too speedy, not too low quality, something really balanced. That's what they're looking for. So the Lean Six Sigma will focus on the customer. Okay, the first great point about Six Sigma, and as I said, we are talking about the service quality, right? Service quality improvement, service quality management. The first point you need to consider and realize is that we are dealing with customers. So the focus should be on the customer, because we are trying to improve the service rendered to customer better. So in order to do that, we need to know what exactly customer wants. It's all about the customer. So identify and understand how the work gets done, the value stream. So it's really related to the value chain, If you remember value chain from our business strategy class, it deals a lot with that, because all through the value chain, you're dealing with processes, and those processes, a lot of them are in direct contact with the customers. So we need to understand, of course, the value chain gives you the whole picture of the whole, company. But even for a single process, when you want to use Six Sigma for one single process, you have to be able to understand and then just elaborate and portray the process that the work gets done. If you're able to project the way the process is getting done, it's much easier for you the next step, which is just analyzing, trying to remove the defects and verify and all that. Then you try to manage, improve, and smoothen the process flow. So when you realize what's going on, what's the problem, you manage that, you improve it, and then the process will be smoothened. Okay, and then remove the non-value add steps and waste. So, a lot of times we have steps that they are not necessarily adding any value to our processes. Let's say a certain paperwork that you might do, you never use it, it's not utilized, you might just remove that. You could probably make it a systematic, like into your database, that the moment you input that data, it will be saved there, and it would be like active and proactive and utilized in making decisions in the future. That is super awesome. You made some irrelevant paperwork into something useful. But sometimes we have just steps that are not just adding any value. They're just the paperwork or policies, and they should be revised, managed by fact, and reduce variation. So when it comes to Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma, we are dealing with numbers and facts. We are dealing with exact facts, and we try to focus on the reliability of all these facts. And then we involve and equip the people in the process. As we mentioned earlier, in the conflict management system and the conflict management model, it involves the people. First of all, the managers, they have to be fully involved because there's a lot of decision making involved. So absolutely, they should be involved. Then the staff, the managers will assign a lot of authorities to the staff, so that they have some decision making capabilities. So people are involved. People are involved in this process. So even though we're dealing with numbers, but there are people, the staff of the company are the tools to get it done. It's really interesting how you can look at all these aspects at one point. Undertake improvement activity in a systematic way. Systematic, orderly is also the key in Six Sigma. Okay, let's pause here for a moment. Is there any questions so far? Any comments or questions? Is everyone there? Are you there? Are you listening? Can everyone verify that you're there? And then, any questions? Are we clear so far? My question to you is anyone among you is using Six Sigma? Anyone in your company that you're using Six Sigma? Is there anyone? So the question is, anyone in your company you're using Six Sigma? It could be any department, but you know for a fact that in your company that they're using Six Sigma. Is there anyone there that the answer is yes for him? No? Nobody? Okay, I take it as a no. So let's go to the next slide. So, in order to be able to do that, in order to be able to, yes, Mr. Nazari, production companies are, and as we will realize by the stuff that we go through this semester, we'll realize that not just production companies will be able to use it, all companies will use it. Actually, this book, our textbook, and a lot of examples that we will go through are coming from the service companies. So it's actually not necessarily just for production companies. Okay. So the organization culture must be conducive to effective conflict management. There must be a communication, commitment, and acceptance. Okay. This is also a very important fact. So basically, the organization culture. If you remember the corporate culture that we discussed fully and in detail in business strategy, we discussed about corporate culture, the culture of the corporation, the culture of the company that really is the dominant culture that everyone in the company is actually part of. So that culture should be conducive to effective complaint management. So if the culture is not conducive enough, the complaint management is really difficult. There must be communication, as we discussed, the communication back and forth with the customers and those who are decision makers and staff who can make changes, and then commitment. The staff, when you receive a complaint, you have to be committed to solve the problem. If you don't feel that sense of commitment, it's really unlikely that problem would be solved. And then acceptance. You need to accept the complaints. You need to acknowledge them. You need to be. You shouldn't be argumenting and fighting back when there is a complaint. You have to be accepting of them. The university management should draft a customer service charter that reflects institution's position with respect to complaint management. So basically, like in this case, in our book, the school ended up drafting a customer service charter, which reflects the position of the institution. So the customer charter mostly is where you write down the policies regarding the complaint management, and then that should be known by everyone who's involved with the complaint. Everyone who could receive a feedback from customers should be aware of all these, customer charter information and the position of the complaint management of the company. And in the aspects of resources, the management should provide sufficient number of adequately trained staff. Modern information communication technology and equipment are essential elements for an effective customer management, complaint management system. So, management, if you remember, we talked about how they should be involved. So they should provide, how they would be involved, they should provide sufficient number of adequately trained staff. So training is really very important. So management should give the staff the good training, the training that they really need. And then modern information and communication technology. Technology actually helps a lot. Technology helps with your accessibility, helps with the contact of the customers with you. So it's really important, it's useful. And equipment are essential elements for an effective customer management, complaint management system. Okay. Beautiful. Are we clear so far? Okie doke. Let's go to the next one. So resources are allocated to training and supporting relevant staff so that they are receptive to complaints and active listeners. Welcome feedback on the university service delivery. So in this case, we have the university service delivery and have solid interpersonal skills or problem solvers and depth at conflict resolution. Okay. So the training mostly, like when it comes to training of staff regarding the complaint management, you need to teach them how to receive complaints and active listening. There are certain techniques when it comes to listening. When you receive a complaint, the customer comes to you and says, I have this problem, this broke down, and it was really annoying. I really needed it to perform and it didn't, and I'm really annoyed. So first of all, the first rule of thumb is when you listen as you're receiving the complaint, you need to be acknowledging the problem, saying that it's really upsetting that, it didn't work. I am, be apologetic for the problem. So that's part of active listening, just rephrasing what the customer says to you so that they know that you understood what they're talking about. Tell them exactly in your own words, show them that you understand their concern. So these are all part of the parts of the training that you give to your staff when it comes to listening. It's something that from the janitor to the manager, they should be aware of, because they could receive complaints in different respects, and they have all responsibilities, and they have to be committed to the complaints they receive. So it's not just for one guy one operator behind the telephone who has to know all these stuff. Everybody in the company has to be aware of the complaints management policies. Everybody. That's a big rule. And then welcome feedback. So basically, you need to be welcoming of the feedback. As I mentioned, even sometimes the complaints are really not so friendly, and they are pretty. They're coming from dissatisfied customers. So don't expect them to be really nice and shiny. It could be really hard on you, but be welcoming. Consider it as a feedback. Thank them for that. Have solid interpersonal skills. When it comes to complaint management, it's all about interpersonal skills. It's all about how you deal with people. As I said, an unhappy customer making a complaint could become a loyal customer, your next loyal customer. So it's how you basically deal with that customer. It's how you interrelate, how you conversate with the customer. And then, of course, when it comes to processing, we are trying to be problem solvers. We want to resolve the conflict. We want to solve the problem and resolve the issue. So we just don't want to, we could be great listeners, we could be great greeters and welcomers of the feedback and great interpersonal skills, but if you don't solve the problem, doesn't make any sense. The customer is going to be really annoyed and will think that you are just deceiving them. It's even worse. So make sure you get to the final step, which is solving the problem. That's why they called you. So if you're great in all those three, and the last one, which is solving the problem, you can't do it, you are absolutely in big problem. Okay, so getting back to those visibility and accessibility. So basically, information on where and how to lodge a complaint readily available goes back to accessibility, right? So as I mentioned, if it's a website, there should be one part to contact you to lodge complaints or feedback. Information on how the company will handle complaints readily available to complainants. You need to tell them, like when the customer is making a complaint, you need to reflect to them. You need to tell them exactly how the process is going to be, how their complaint is going to be managed and handled. So this is what everyone in the company should need, and this is how you should conversate with the customer when the customer calls you. You need to tell them exactly how their complaint is going to be managed. So that is really important. Assistance to complaints. So dedicated service counter, complaint hotline, support of language interpretation. A lot of times there is language barriers. Some people are complaining in different languages. You need to accommodate that. It's really good when you see that, like let's say Nokia, they have a certain customer service and they provide it in several languages. So when you call them, you choose the language, and the guy actually speaks to you in that language that you specify. That's awesome. That's great service. So or the dedicated service counter. The hotline is just for the service, for the complaints, for the feedback. You call them, they immediately answer. They answer in the language you specify. You will be satisfied, you know. And then it comes to responsiveness, appropriate time frames for responses. Turnaround times are set and monitored. This is a very important point. You can't be just, responding to one complaint immediately and then the next complaint you take forever. You have to be consistent. You have to set frames, saying like the response frame is like more 1 to 2 business days, or 24 hours, or whatever amount of time you want to specify according to the number of staff, the number of available staff that you have, and like working days and everything. But you need to specify a time frame. You can't expect customers to give you feedback and wait forever to get a feedback from you. You have to respond immediately, and you have to tell them exactly what sort of time frame they should be expecting. And that's also something you need to tell your staff in their training. You got to tell them exactly how the response is going to be. So take progress of complaints and advise complaints upon a reasonable request. So you have to track them. Like, I'm sure you have all experienced this, sending mails that you can track them online. Like, okay, you just send it, let's say, you send it from your town into some other country. You will see how it goes. It goes first to another country, and you can track it. When you put that tracking number, you can see where it is right now. It gives you the current situation. So that's what needs to be done when it comes to complaints management system. You have to be able to track the complaints, their process. These are processes. These are not just some words. You need to look at them as like processes. So as it is for the book that you're discussing, we developed the University Customer Service Charter. We manage the management commitment, actually active participation, and resources, which is management to provide adequately trained staff with necessity in IT assistance, and then Lean Six Sigma-based complaint management procedures regarding accessibility, ensuring customers can see that the institution or company or organization has a clear process for handling complaints. Easy for customers to complain. Even though it might not look good, you think that complaint is something bad, so why should it be easy to complain? It's totally different. Complain, you gotta look at it as feedback. So you should make it as easy as possible for customers to get back to you and give you feedback. This is actually a blessing from a customer to you. And then responsiveness, timeliness is not just about managing the complaint. It is also about managing the staff performance. As I said, it's two ways. It's not just about the complaint. It's also about the staff. You need to make sure the performance of the staff is also timeliness, is orderly. You know, so this is absolutely important. So it's transparent that accessibility and responsiveness are significant determinants of student satisfaction. And with regard to responsiveness to complaints, here is a lot of room for improvement. Okay. So accessibility and responsiveness is really important for student satisfaction. I'm sure for any satisfaction, this is really a big major issue. Essentially, it's important to develop a process that enables institutions to efficiently, effectively, and economically receive, assess, deal, and thoroughly resolve complaints. First of all, you need to receive it, and assess it, and deal with or process it, and then resolve them, and then report. Analyze and report on those complaints with a view to business improvement. Okay, and so this is your takeaway. Your takeaway for your business is how you can improve it, So the complaint is not only helping you to help the customer, but in helping you to help yourself to do a better job with your company. So now just open it for some questions, comments. Any questions? Haha, no complaints. Very good. No questions. Okay, so now let's go to the assignment. Oh, the assignment of the class. Okay. Okay. So the assignment is for 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 your organization, for wherever you work. If it's NGO, if it's organization, if it's company, doesn't matter. I want you to come up with a complaint management model. How the management is involved, how the staff is involved, how the public customers are able to make complaints, and how you can better your customer relationships, organizational improvement, and corporate governance. So come up with a CMM, which is a complaint management model for your own company. So I give you a few minutes, like maximum 10 minutes. Work on it, and then you're going to discuss it in the class. If any one of you wants to talk about your answer, you're more than welcome. Or if you want to write it down in the chat box, you can absolutely do that, and we can do the discussion. So please spend some time on this chart. So it should be your own company. You're talking about your own company or organization, how you're going to use this complaint management model to your own company. Okay, so take a moment and we'll discuss. Anybody's ready to share his or her answer yet? Anybody wants to share his or her answer? Okay, very good, Mr. Barak. Please go ahead and tell us about it.
Everybody,
Good.
can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes. So, your question was to explain what's going in your own organization. I would like to inform you that I am working with the Independent Civil Service Commission of Afghanistan and Kabul, and regarding to the complaints, the commission has a special board for receiving the complaints. It's called Appeals Board, and the main complaints are from the people who are applying for governmental positions, and usually they are complaining that complaining about the recruitment process, that it is not transparent or it's not on merit base. So the staff in the appeals board, they are receiving the complaints, and then these complaints are going to the team of the commissioners, and these commissioners, they are contacting the organization where the recruitment was happened, and there is another board, we call it appointment board, and they are checking that writing tests for the interviews, and they are checking other people who applied for the positions, and then based on these issues, they are responding to the complaint that they received. Usually the process is not enough transparent, because they are not using the transparency and the merit-based competitive recruitment process. And also the nepotism is very high in recruitment process. So unfortunately, they are not using this model, and I think I would share this model with the senior management team, that they can apply it, and I think it will be very useful, and it will bring a lot of positive changes in the whole process. And also the President of Afghanistan, 2 weeks ago, he had a meeting with the parliament, and he promised that he will finish the corruption, and the main reason for the corruption is that we don't have the capacity that can provide quality services to the people, and there is less transparency and accountability. So I think it will be very useful.
Very good, Mr. Barak. Thank you so much. So, in what sense exactly do you think your company can benefit from this model? What part of this model do you think you could add to what you currently have?
So I think the first thing is the management part. That the management should be committed to the system, to the law, to the regulations, to the policies. And I think it's the main point that if the management team is not committed to the laws, to the system, to the country, the rest components will not work effectively. And also, the second point is, I think, that the authorization for the staff, the feeling of responsibility, the feeling of ownership is very important. If you are responsible and when you are feeling the ownership, so it brings confidence in you and your decision and providing the services to the public and to the country. And I think when you are responding on time to the customers or to the complaints, and you're giving the right information, it brings the people more closely to the government, and they will trust in government. Now, unfortunately, there's less trust in government, and there's a big gap between the government and the people. So I think this, considering on all these 3 points, the management and the clients and also the staff who are working, it will all together will bring a positive change, not just one part.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Mr. Barak. Exactly, very good. So as you can see, it's actually a very comprehensive model that it involves the staff, the management. I mean, it's just a general overview, but you could draft it down how the management is involved, how the staff is involved, and so all these bullet points that we have here could be filled with your own company information. So it's very useful, and I'm glad that you're going to share it with your management, and I'm pretty sure that it could be really helpful.
Yeah, I think it's very, very useful, and by now our senior management, I think, need it, and it will be very supportive to them.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing, Mr. Barak. And so everyone, please don't forget to email me your model by tomorrow. You could just write it down. You don't have to draw it if it's difficult for you. You can just write management and then right in front of it staff, then how you record it, how the public customers are gonna be able to complain, and then how it betters your customer relationship, organizational improvement, and corporate governance. So it hasn't been it doesn't have to be like so many pages. It could be only one page answering each of them like a couple sentences. So just your assignment by tomorrow, please email it to me. And is there any questions? Any questions or comments before we end the class?
I think, generally speaking, this model can be applicable in different sectors. So in our organization, we can apply. This model can be applied very easily, and we have same kind of complaint management model. Yeah.
Oh, you do have?
Yeah. For example, we have staff in the field. We have our beneficiaries, and we have coordinators for each component who are working for horticulture and livestock projects. So for both components, we have field staff, we have coordinators, so at field level, so our beneficiary will complain to the staff, and staff will take their complaint to our senior staff at field levels, and then we have at headquarters we have senior management team. We have regularly meeting each week. Once a week we have meeting. If our senior field staff are not able to solve the complaint, and then they will send the issue to headquarters, and then our senior management team will will discuss and will try to solve the problem, and then will inform the field staff about the solution and about
Okay, very good, very good. So please just mention that in your assignment, in your email, and so that will be all. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for attending the class, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I'll see you all next week.